Did you know that a fabric's value plays a major role in determining the design of your block? All of these blocks were made from the same 9-patch pattern with the same 2 fabrics, but they all look different. Value is so important in quilt design that you should think about this concept first before choosing fabric colors when planning your blocks. In this video, you'll get a chance to experiment with fabric value and design while constructing a 9-patch block. You'll get some more practice matching intersections. You'll also learn about sew order and sewing in rows. To get started, you can download these free patterns at learnhowtoquilt.com under the Saturday Sampler series. If you're not interested in using these squares to play with value, then I've also included directions for making this 9-patch block using strip piecing. You can find a free tutorial covering this process under the 9-patch entry in our encyclopedia. Value refers to how light, medium, or dark a fabric is in relation to other fabrics. In this pile of reds, this might be a light, but if I moved it over to this pile, it would be a dark. It just all depends on what fabric you're putting it next to. Often, at least one grouping of a light, medium, and dark is needed to make a quilting design pop out. Most folks gather fabrics based on color and not on value. If you want your design to stand out, focus on value. If I just picked blues and reds without thinking about value, I might get a block that looks like this. When I looked for a lighter value of this red, my design stood out more. You can really see the difference between these two blocks when I convert to black and white film. Try to get in the habit of arranging your fabrics by value. If you're having trouble with this exercise, take a photo. Then convert that to black and white to see the different values. Don't worry if it's not perfect. Use this to see the contrast between fabric values when planning your design. This pattern offers you a chance to try different designs using different combinations of contrasting fabric values. You'll need 9 2.5-inch squares to complete this block. You could choose just one light fabric and one dark fabric to get these traditional designs, or maybe you decide you want to add more than one dark fabric for interest. Or maybe you want to change that design for a different look. If you want to play with value and explore different designs, then I recommend cutting 2.5-inch squares from different fabric values. You don't need to have this many different fabrics. One pile of a light, medium, and dark will work just fine. You might be saying that this is a waste of fabric, but these are small scraps, and you can use the leftovers in other blocks or projects. Sometimes I shade in the design that I want. Using different colors is okay, but not necessary, as I'm just looking for the contrast between these values. I want my darkest fabrics in this diagonal and my lighter fabrics over here, so that diagonal pops out. The more contrast in value, the more that diagonal pops out. Over here you can still see that diagonal, but it doesn't pop out as much as the contrast in values isn't so great. Neither block is right or wrong. The quilter gets to decide on the design. That's what makes each quilt unique. Use your squares to explore different combos. Then take pictures of your favorites. This one has all the same darks with mixed lights. The diagonal stands out. Here's all the same lights with mixed darks. The diagonal also stands out. This diagonal doesn't pop out that much. I liked when I added a medium value on either side of the diagonal. There's no right or wrong here. Sometimes you might change your mind as to what design you want. And one design just might lead you to discover another. You're ready to sew when you choose your final design. This block is a miniature version of how most large quilts go together. You'll be sewing in rows. Put right sides together, right sides together, and right sides together. And then I stack these up And I have a system. The side that I hold in my hand is the side that I'm going to sew. So I take this over to the sewing machine and put it right up against my machine's foot and sew. After sewing, I lay out my block and then I put right sides together and I stack. Take it over to the sewing machine and sew that 1/4 inch seam. After sewing each row, I press. Now the pattern tells you to press to the dark, but that's if you're using the traditional design. For any other design that you use, you can press your rows in opposite directions for ease of construction. Now I'm ready to match intersections. When I put right sides together, these two seams would butt up against each other. And over here, when I pull back this seam, I see that these two seams want to butt up against each other. Pin or glue these seams and take it over to the machine to sew. After these two rows have been put together, I'll put right sides together, match those seams, and sew. And here's my completed block. Sometimes it's fun to slow down and play with a design. I hope you'll try experimenting on your 9-patch block. If you've been following along in this series, you should have at least 6 patchwork squares to add to your sampler quilt. In the next video in this series, you'll learn an easy method for sewing triangles when you make this bow tie block. Thank you for visiting LearnHowToQuilt.com. Please share our series with your friends.